Hey guys, Contact Wilder46 here. I really love the Legend of Zelda series. It's by far my favorite video game series ever. A big part of my childhood involved me playing through some of the different games that I had in the series. And I have to say I really enjoyed exploring the many different iterations of Hyrule and solving puzzles in the many different dungeons. Each game had its own unique charm in its graphics, music, items, story, and other features that would make the game special. Now personally, I like to rank things that I enjoy, and I thought, what better thing to rank than the Zelda games? But I didn't play enough games in the series to the point where I felt like I could make a proper top 10 list, so I decided to make a top 5 list instead. So with that said, let's get started with the list. To start this list off with number 5, I chose probably the darkest Zelda game in the whole series, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Now I mentioned this game is dark, but it's not in your face about it. On the surface, it's just like any other Legend of Zelda game, but underneath there are many dark things that makes this game so well known for that specific trait. For instance, things like just walking around in Clock Town with everyone minding their own business just seem like a regular Zelda game. But when you look up and you see that the moon's going to fall in 3 days and destroy the whole world, then it becomes a little more clear that this game is a little darker. Another really dark thing about this game is that, on top of the world ending, each of the 4 main regions in this game are affected by some terrible catastrophe that just makes the lives miserable for everyone living in them. I could keep talking about some of the darker things about this game, but then this segment's just going to be pretty depressing, so instead of that, I'm going to talk about some of the cool features I really like about this game. My favorite feature about this game, and the feature that makes this game unique from the rest, are the 3 transformation masks. Each mask will turn you into either a Deku, Goron, or Zora, depending on which one you use, and each has their own strengths and weaknesses and special abilities that makes for a nice change in gameplay. Even some of the non-transformation masks give you a small special ability. For instance, the bunny hood will allow you to run faster, and the stone mask will turn you invisible to enemies. All of these kind of give a nice change in playstyle that will suit different players. The last thing that I'll mention that I really like about this game is that it uses the same mechanics and art style from Ocarina of Time, another game that I really like. So because of that, the controls are still very smooth and very familiar. But anyway, that's the last thing I'll say about this game in order not to take too long. So with that, let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now I remember when this game first came out, it had some mixed reviews, and I think a big part was the huge focus on the Wii Motion Plus controls. I felt like they worked pretty well though. A lot of the enemies and dungeons were designed around them, so it felt pretty natural. I didn't have a problem with it at all. One thing though that I do think a lot of people liked about this game, even back then, was the story. I think it's very dynamic, and for me anyway, it was far from stale. I always wanted to find out what was going on next because a lot of things happened that you wouldn't really expect, particularly later on in the game in the Song of Hero portion of the game. Along with the story in this game, I also really love the new characters they added, Groose being my personal favorite. I love his arc from being just kind of a big bully to Link, to becoming pretty much his best friend, apart from Zelda of course, who's another character I also really love the changes they added to her. In other Zelda games, Link and Zelda had more of a professional relationship and nothing more. Zelda would just tell Link to save the world and that's it. But here they've been friends since, childhood, so it felt a lot more personal when she got taken away from Link. So I really like that. It seems like they care about each other a little more. Nice little touch. Putting the story aside for now, I thought the new features that were added in this game were also pretty good. I'm only going to list off 2 of them though, because I don't want to make this section too long. So yeah, here we go. So the first new feature I liked was the stamina meter. This was the first time it was introduced, and it was used for a plethora of things like pushing blocks and climbing, and even spin attacks. And it's actually been used for a new feature, sprinting. This is actually pretty handy. If there's a steep slope, before in Zelda games you wouldn't be able to go up them, but now you can sprint up them. So I actually really like this feature. The next, and probably my favorite feature of this game, is the upgrade system. In other Zelda games, you'd usually just get a better version of an item you already had in like a chest or something. But in this game, you take the items you already have and take them to the scrap shop and add some materials, and then you actually just upgrade your items, and you can actually upgrade them a few times. So I don't know, I just really like improving my weapons. It feels more like an RPG, and I really love that gameplay. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for this game. So yeah, with that, on to number 3. Number 3 was the game that won Game of the Year in the 21st Annual DICE Awards, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, one of the big features of this game is being able to explore the overworld and find secrets in it. And it's massive, probably the biggest overworld in any Zelda game to date. And it's beautiful too. You can really tell the developers put a lot of work into making this overworld. I really love this because in the other Zelda games, I really did like exploring the overworld, but this game takes it to a whole new level. But of course, a big overworld was not the only thing that set this game apart from the others. It is also quite famous for being the game that redefined the whole series by taking away some old features like Link's signature green tunic and the ability to auto jump, and adding some new features like eating food to recover health and having weapon durability, which was something I was expecting to hate, but I actually really grew to like because it gave it that sense of being in a world where you're surviving as well as saving it, which is pretty cool. It gives that sense of being in the wild, like the game's title says. Now, along with some of these cool features, Breath of the Wild also had a really good story and introduced many new characters that I really enjoyed, Prince Sidon being my personal favorite. But the story just kind of goes that Link wakes up after 100 years and forgets everything, kind of like Rip Van Winkle, but I guess with Link, so it's Rip Van Linkle. But anyway, seeing that he doesn't remember anything, he has to be told by, is revealed to be the king that he has to save the world. But along with this, he also has to regain some of his memories, and I have to say, when Link remembers something, the cutscenes that play are really cool to me. It's probably one of my favorite story elements of this game, actually. I know the whole forgetting thing with the amnesia has been used in a lot of stories, but I think it really works well in this game. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about Breath of the Wild. It's a really good game. If you have a Switch and you have money to buy the game, I would definitely recommend getting this game. Number 2 is Ocarina of Time. Now that's a surprise. How is this game not number 1? Well, I'll talk about that more later when I talk about number 1. In the meantime, I'll talk about what I think is cool about this game. One thing I find particularly cool about this game is the fact that it's the first 3D Zelda game and thus had to set the standard for what a 3D Zelda game had to be like. It had to introduce new features to fit this new gameplay style, like Z-targeting. And some of these new features, like the one I just mentioned, are still used to this day in Breath of the Wild, which is known for being a game that changed a lot of the mechanics in the Zelda game. Now, besides being a pioneer for 3D Zelda mechanics, this game also had some pretty cool features meant specifically for itself. One feature that I think was pretty cool is the ability to switch between being a child and an adult. The gameplay relatively stays the same, but small things do change, like which items you can use and which areas you can access. Not to mention that because you're in the future, certain characters will behave differently. I also really liked the dungeons in this game. There were 8 in all, so it felt like there were plenty to go through. Each had its own atmosphere and plenty of different puzzles to solve. I really liked this Spirit Temple in particular because of the fact you had to switch between young Link and adult Link in order to beat it. I may be a little nostalgia biased in saying this, but regardless, I feel like this game's much better than some of the newer Zelda games that have come out. I feel like just in terms of a game, Ocarina of Time is just more fun to play than some of these other ones. And I suppose that's all that makes a game good, right? Doesn't matter how good the graphics are and how good the story is. All that matters is that the game is fun. At least, in my opinion. There honestly isn't too much that I can say about this game that someone didn't already say. So, I suppose with that, I'll go on to what I say is my favorite Zelda game ever. Number 1 is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Now, nostalgia is definitely a big reason as for why Wind Waker in particular is number 1. It's the first Zelda game I ever played, and actually the second game in general that I've ever played, so it does hold a special place for me. However, it's more than just nostalgia that makes this my favorite Zelda game. I think that almost everything about this game is good. The story, the graphics, the music, the gameplay, it's all really good. Another thing I really liked about this game was the fact that you had to sail across the sea to get to other islands. I know some people didn't really like this too much, they may have thought it was too slow, but personally, sailing across the ocean like that gave this game a huge sense of adventure that was different from other Zelda games. I also really love how smooth the controls are for this game, particularly in combat where it feels like there's just the right amount of delay between when you push a button and Link attacks. And speaking of combat, my favorite combat mechanic has to be the parry attack. If you press A at the right time when an enemy is about to attack, Link will do a really flashy move that does twice the damage, and not to mention it makes a really cool sound effect when you do it. The aesthetic quality of this game is also really good. I love the cel-shaded graphics that they used for this game. It makes it really bright and colorful. Now I know that a lot of people criticize this game for being too childish in appearance, but it seems like the graphics have aged really well and a lot of people really like it. There's so much I could say about this game that I could literally go on for hours talking about it. Maybe in the future I can do a full review on this game where I feel like I could do it more justice. But in the meantime, this has been my top 5 list of my favorite Legend of Zelda games. I hope you enjoyed watching and tell me if you agree with my list. I'm looking forward to seeing your opinions. Until next time, I'll see you later. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching my video. It really means a lot to me that you did. Even if you didn't like it, the fact that you just watched it just means a lot to me. This is my first YouTube video ever, so it's not going to be that great in terms of quality. All I have in equipment is a MacBook Pro with iMovie and not a cheap microphone, but it's not one of those top quality ones either. I kind of just doing this on my recording desk too, so that's probably another effect on the audio quality. I didn't really script this video out. I kind of half scripted it, so it's not too good. I'm gonna do scripts in the future soon though. This was more of an experiment, if anything. I had a lot of fun making it though. There were ups and downs. I had to restart this video like 8 times because I wasn't satisfied with it. Eventually though, I decided to stop being so hard on myself and just accept the video for what it was. Anyway, I'm hoping in the future maybe I can get a job or something where I can get enough money to buy my own equipment. Right now I can't really get a job. I'm still in high school. I'm going to be a senior, so I'd have to worry about doing good in school so I can get into college, and then maybe I can start working a job then, and I can probably get some better equipment to help me make these videos. Basically what I'm just trying to say is that although I'm not trying to get to the top on YouTube, it's definitely not going to happen anytime soon, if ever. I doubt it's ever going to happen. It's not my goal anyway. I just wanted to have a lot of fun, but I also want to make things that you guys would enjoy. You know, I don't want to just be one of those guys that's just making crappy videos all day. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later. Until next time then.